So what we want to do in the next 10 minutes is to have something like a short summary of the session that was happening. It was intended that we have leaders from schools all over the world, and we had some 25 people from all over the world, and we wanted them to share their experience, how they manage the crisis, how they respond to it, and to also understand in which level we all are perceiving this crisis. Whether it's really about a moment for radical change, with opportunities for radical change, whether it's a moment for, well, more or less incremental change, smaller steps, or just a pragmatic reaction to restrictions that we're all facing. And so, I don't know, how about you, Teresa? For me, one of the key insights was that all of us, all of the people attending, agreed that this is a fundamental moment in time. One colleague from Singapore said, where we can really project very new ideas, and there's the need to project new ideas in the future and of the future.
Yes, and I think one of the things that most of the people have pinpointed was the idea of getting the students involved as part of this transformative moment we are living and we will live in the near future. So also getting the society as a stakeholder in the process. We saw that design schools, in fact, are innovative places, and they can be experimental labs to try new approaches to education, and especially for design education. And we saw that in Japan, it seems that they are rethinking creativity as part of the education system, and in fact, where you teach creativity more than in design schools. And so why not take design schools take the lead in this change? They are very well positioned to lead this. And I think that design can anticipate the future. We were seeing that even with being someone also pinpoint to be proactive surfing the wave of technology, because we are having new tools to teach and to learn. And I don't know, Philipp, if you want to take some notes on this also.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the pictures come very clear to my mind. You mentioned Japan, Tadanori from Musashino Art University, and taking the lead in this sort of new type of creativity that is needed. And I think this was an excellent suggestion that we discussed. Maybe requires a new sort of terminology to sort of define. We were talking about designability and designership as something that is coined and identified, actually. And I fully agree also. My perspective was also that including the students, including key stakeholders from society, to give a relevant contribution to that. We had Gordon Hush from GSA talking about exclusion and inclusion, and coming of as what he said, dialogic practice as a form of engagement. We're all talking about transformation, but as a new form of engagement, of working with others, not for others, with others, what means ecological and political stakeholders. What is also one of the key issues of this working group, to be able to speak to political stakeholders about the meaning of design. And when you said the schools can become labs, I fully agree. Connected, not only connected to the society, but well, somehow embedded. And I liked another idea that came up. I think it was Venka from Singapore mentioning that in former times, art schools have been sites of inquiry. Yeah, maybe open-ended inquiry, questioning things, radical questioning. So this gives me a very confidential perspective that we are able to come up with very meaningful contributions that design can give here. So what else did we see? Yeah, it was nice to see that we have two colleagues also sharing the perspectives that went through different forms of crisis before. It was also Gordon Hush about having 2 times a large fire in the historic building in Glasgow, and KP Lee from Hong Kong, first having the protests when he became dean of the school, and right now having COVID. So I think this might also make both of them think sort of in a very sort of maybe in a very different, maybe better prepared way on how to act and look in a longer perspective. And it was also, and we also agreed that we need, and that I think that's very obvious, that we need to have a digital form of collaboration, not replacing, but maybe adding something to what we're doing. And it was also KP Lee who brought up ethnography, like of a new way of ethnographic fieldwork in times of pandemic. I know that's something that they are working on as well. So this was super interesting as well to see for me.
Also, as Lene from Coding, she was also sharing with us that she received an email from the students asking what was the position of the school regarding the Black Lives Matter. And it was something that I think it was transversal to all the talks that we had, that the students are more proactive and they are more active in shaping also the form of the school. And also, as Martin Christiansen said, that what new skills had to be now teach to students, because we have to teach new skills, and these soft skills that they already have. It was something that it was also pinpointed. And also Martin, I think it was Martin that then Gordon has in fact said something about the number of students that Cumulus have, like 1 million students. And Martin said, how can Cumulus strengthen design education by highlighting the differences between all the schools that are part of the Cumulus Association? And in fact, that is this moment that we saw a behavioral change, that it's possible to do it. So digital learning also, we have talked about this, but besides social innovation, it was this idea of digital learning and this idea from shifting from human-centered design to life-centered design. Martin also talked about this.
I think, yes, I think the 1 million students, I mean, that's an incredible number, how to sort of activate them. And I think this is also a responsibility for us because it's an incredible potential. We were also talking about, looking in my notes, about the inclusive practices. I mean, that's what we are talking about, including students, including other people of the society, including schools and organizations from yet underrepresented parts of the world. Those inclusive practices could make Cumulus as a head force for radical change as well. Yeah, because to really rethink how design can act. So this means to say goodbye to some things design has previously done and to come up with a new or updated agenda that I would really love to work on, actually, and maybe to explore through very quickly and very smooth and very pragmatic and rough installed formats and collaborations amongst of us to find this out, actually, in our sites of inquiry that we're also doing together. So what we need to find right now is, that was another terminology, an architecture of collaboration amongst us, because it was super nice and super inspiring to listen to the talks. Unfortunately, we talked too long, so there were quite a few people that might have been prepared to answer our question, what is the most relevant strategic topic or question as an art and design school in the current crisis or transformation process to address from your perspective. So everybody was more or less equipped to contribute to that. But due to our sort of key sort of not keynotes, but the talks we're talking about right now, I think we had to postpone this for a next meeting, because for sure we want to proceed with the conversation. It was a kickoff of the conversation. And right now we need to find, as I said, the architecture of collaboration. And it is also an invitation, an open invitation to everybody who's watching right now. It's not a closed shop. It's about sharing in the community, an invitation to join as a listener, as somebody who's making a comment or who's taking an active role, maybe in our collaborative whiteboard or in one of our next sessions.
Yeah, I think if we can get the most people collaborating with us, it will be great for our working group. And in fact, it was very, very inspiring. All the talks that we had, different insights, the same insights, common insights, common problems. One of those problems that we saw, and we are all preparing the next year, it was this idea that we can't teach design online. So we have to reinvent also a little bit ourselves. Let's see in a short term and in a medium term what is going to happen. But I think your invitation to all the people to collaborate with us, it's great. So I will join that invitation. Please do.
Yes, we hope so. And sort of what we prepared and what we intended sort of to do and what we will do in our next session is to structure it around 3 levels or dimensions, as we said, more or less the macro level, like maybe the radical change, but also the impact on or of systems we are all related to. The meso level, about the curricula and programs and the smaller things. And then, as you said, we all have to adapt to the new situation in a smooth way. We have to respond. The micro level more, how we can react